Welcome to the Luna Holistic Podcast. I'm your host, Geneva Robbins, and every month on this podcast, we'll talk about Reiki, as well as answering your questions on all things spiritual. We are gratefully located in Calgary in Treaty 7 territory. Thank you all and welcome to the show. Welcome, everyone. This is the Luna Holistic Podcast. My name's Geneva Robbins, and I'm here today with Angela Hogeveen, who is also a Reiki master here at Luna Holistic. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Geneva.
Thank you for being here with me today. We're going to have a good time talking about all things Reiki, and I'm so glad that you could join me today. We'll start, as we tend to do, with a collective breath of gratitude, just a little mini meditation. So for those of you listening, if you happen to be driving or operating machinery of any kind, don't close your eyes right now. But everyone else, if you're safe and still, and you have 30 seconds to a minute where you can comfortably close your eyes, we invite you to close your eyes so you can go into a deeper world and just take a big sigh of relief. That's the stuff. And just let all of the energy travel all the way down to the bottoms of your feet. Noticing the land below you, the earth below your feet. That comfortable tug of gravity holding you close. Feeling that settled, nurturing energy just below you. Maybe take another big sigh of relief. And just feel a deep sense of gratitude for the land and all of its inhabitants, wherever you happen to be sitting. Noticing the people around you, maybe sending a deep sense of gratitude to any Indigenous people in the land that you're in. Feeling a sense of warmth and thanks to the plant life all around you, to the water, to the air and wind, to the animal life, wherever it happens to be. Just noticing all of the great benefits that come from having solid earth below your feet and sunshine over your head every day. Every day we get this. And take another breath and expand yourself up big and tall, taking up all the space that belongs to you, your personal bubble. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you. Thank you, Angela.
That was great.
So good. I love that stuff. Yeah, thank you for being here with me today. I love all of these Reiki things, and I'm so excited to talk to you today. Maybe before we hop into our questions today, you can fill us in about some of your Reiki backstory. So how did you get to be here talking with us today? What drew you to this Reiki thing?
This crazy Reiki thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. It's actually been just over 3 years since I had my first session with you. I had known about Reiki for many, many years. Didn't give it a lot of thought. A friend of mine, a number of times over the years, asked if I wanted to join him and take a Reiki course. And no, I wasn't really that interested. And then I don't even really remember what my motivation was to finally say, okay, I need to have a session, with the intent of hopefully then signing up for the course. I don't know if you remember, but we hadn't even had the session. And I said, okay, I'm signing up for level 1. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Because it just felt right. It all felt right. And that first day, it was like, yep, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a Reiki master. Again,
Yeah.
with no intention of doing it as a job. It was just to hopefully meet like minded people, to go deeper into my own spirituality. And then, of course, the pandemic happened. I quit my extremely stressful job and ended up becoming a practitioner at Luna Holistic. And it's awesome.
Yeah. It is awesome. It is awesome. Yeah, it's so wild. I think probably you more than any of the people that I've taught. You're one of the few where you just leapt in with your whole heart. I always trust those decisions that come from like deep inside. Like it's not even like your brain doesn't even get a vote. It's not consulted in the process. There's just something in you that says, move forward this direction and do it now.
Yeah. And that's exactly how you phrased it, which I'm still sort of trying to reconcile. Like my brain did not have a vote in it. So it all happened just almost with my brain going, okay, yeah, guess we're doing this now. Oh, okay, here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think that's like the definition of like a calling, right? Like that, like people talk about that often of being called into it. And it's something that's hard to explain because we have to use the mind to explain it. The mind wasn't ever a part of the decision. It was not consulted. So which I think is that's wild.
My experience. Yep.
Every time that happens to me, that I get like a feeling inside and it moves me, that decision comes not from the logical mind focus centered, like, I'm going to plan this out and I'm going to take this step and that step. But it's like, no, this is the way to go. Just flow with it. Every single time I follow that calling of my heart, it always works out. It always works out. And I've learned to lean into it and trust it so much so that all of the major decisions in my life all come from that heart, soul, deep energy. And one of the experiments I started September of last year, I was like, if I trust the universe with all of my major decisions, maybe I can trust it with my task list, like the little tiny day-to-day tasks. Like if I trust the calling deep inside of my heart to decide, oh, you have to move your business to a new location. And I used my heart to decide which one to go to, if I trust it with that, then maybe it can help me is like, oh, okay, Wednesday at noon, this is what you need to do now, So I started doing that and it is magic. I highly recommend just giving your brain a giant vacation. The more I play around with that, the more I realize that the mind is just making stuff up. It actually doesn't know what to do. It only knows how to keep us out of trouble. And it's constantly scanning, or at least my brain. I can't speak for other people's minds, but my brain is always trying to minimize getting in trouble with other people and making other people angry by making the wrong choice and never knowing exactly what choice other people want me to make. So my mind just, it takes me on little rabbit hole, it gets squirrely. And so if I listen to my mind for my little tiny choices, it ends up taking me on the safest route, but not the best route. Safest to my ego route. Safest for keeping me out of the unknown and, in its view, out of trouble, or decisions that will manage or minimize other people's ego responses. So my ego is busy trying to manage other people's egos and make choices that will ruffle the fewest feathers, including my own. But it's never the thing that is most satisfying. And it's never where the juiciest, most creative work is. But it's also kind of terrifying because you get led into all these vulnerable places. And then you look back and you're like, oh, I'm doing all this new stuff. But it feels right. So it's like, it's vulnerable, it's nervy, taking those steps into the unknown territory, but everything in you says, go, like, this is the way, this is the path. This is where you'll be free. It's not easy, but it's entirely worth it. So if anybody out there is maybe stuck in a job that isn't so nurturing, or in any kind of situation, you can follow your heart with the big moves. But I also think follow your heart with the little tiny choices, because I think they add up, every tiny step. If you make every choice in a point of joy, or when everything is resolved in your outer life, how will you feel? And you're making the choice that matches that feeling. So maybe in your perfect life, you'll feel a sense of contentment and ease and relaxation. So then you just choose things that bring that feeling, not what you think will bring you that feeling, but at which one actually, you're given 2 routes home, like really tiny choices. Like I can take Crowchild or I can take Deerfoot. We're in Calgary. So people who live here know that both are terrible options, usually. And so you can just feel into it. It probably doesn't make a giant difference in terms of your day, but one will feel a little more open than the other. And I did that for years, and it led me here. So I can only speak from my own experience. Here is pretty great. It's not without its challenges, but it is the most purposeful, soulful time in my life, where I know every single day I am helping somebody, which is incredibly satisfying. That's my little thing. How does that all sit with you, Angela?
I totally agree with what you said. It's definitely a challenge, especially for people like me who are very list driven, and I have to think everything through and weigh pros and cons and be very practical. And so doing this was absolutely not practical and didn't seem like maybe the smartest decision at the time, but absolutely it was the best decision. I did the same thing when I moved out here, where I didn't think it through. I just said, you know what? Forget it. I'm moving to Calgary from Toronto. Actually, sorry, to Canmore. I moved to Canmore first. But I had been at my job for 10 years. I sold my house. I left my family. People were shocked. I was kind of shocked again because I didn't think it through. It was very much a heart decision. And now, gosh, I think I've been here for 16 years. So even though sometimes it can be very scary, like you said, you're vulnerable, but definitely is worthwhile.
It is.
For sure.
That's where all the juiciest stuff lies, is at the end of the branch. You're quivering and quaking every moment. But then one part of you that's one thing that I've been really exploring, because FYI, this podcast makes me feel incredibly vulnerable. So if you're thinking about doing a podcast yourself, do it. And it might have your knees knocking, but I've been really exploring vulnerability. And when you're doing something that your heart says, yes, do this. And one of the things that I've noticed is that it's not all parts of me that are vulnerable. There's a space inside me that is completely comfortable. It knows that this is the path, and there's solid, steady, warm, comforting feeling inside. And then there's another part of me that is freaking out because it's all new. It's what Brene Brown calls the FFT, the effing first time. So when you do something new, it creates a big wave of vulnerability. But vulnerability is just the feeling you have before courage kicks in. And I think courage, that living from that heart space, is underneath it all. And so it's all about finding a practice that can get you connected into that heart space, that soulful space, the space that is eternal and isn't afraid of anything, because it's lived forever and will live forever and is connected to all of the universe and all of the universe's wisdom. And that space inside you, some people might call it the soul or the spirit. That space inside you has so much resources of wisdom and energy, and it's calm. It doesn't get ruffled by things. And when we can tap into that space, then it can lead us through a whole bunch of turmoil. Our mind kicks.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's, the ego with all the fears that you have to wade through and get through to get to that space. That's the challenge, is not listening to that voice in your head that is fearful and telling you, no, this is dumb. This isn't going to work. No, no, no. Stay where you are. Stay safe.
Have the illusion of safety, even though where you are is incredibly uncomfortable. And so our ego will keep us stuck, even though we're literally dying. We just can't break out of the space we're in. We feel like kind of underneath all of life, and it's piling up, piling up, piling up. And the ego will be like, well, that's comfortable, so just stay there. We'll just find better ways of managing the discomfort instead of moving into something that is unknown, because everything unknown is scary. So this has been my experience. I can only speak for myself.
No, I'm there with you.
Angela, one of the questions that I get, and I know we've been talking about, you and I have been talking about this for a while, which I always think is so funny, is why is Reiki so weird?
It's so weird.
It's so weird. And we both love it so much.
100%. Absolutely.
It so much. But yeah, it is kind of weird. And maybe someone is listening and they haven't really explored Reiki, haven't had a Reiki session. They don't know much about it. Maybe they've listened to a couple of podcasts here or saw the word in different places, but it is kind of weird and it is kind of new. And let you answer this question. Why is Reiki so weird? Why is it so good and weird?
It's awesome, but so weird. And, but it is weird. Like, not in a derogatory way. Obviously, I do it. I love it. It's amazing and awesome, but it's just so strange. And I think for me, because again, I like lists and I'm practical and I like to see things, and this is all unseen. And so it's hard for me to sometimes, I don't even know, like fully grasp it because I don't understand it. I know it works. And I mean, I myself have had huge sessions. I've facilitated huge sessions. I have all the proof I need. I know it works, but it's just, okay, how exactly does this work?
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's weird and wonderful.
Yeah. And we Googled it, the definition of the word weird. And it actually truly is weird. I don't have it in front of me, so I have to use my brain. That's the problem with Googling things. You should load it into your brain. So weird means supernatural. The word weird. Its definition is supernatural or uncanny. And it has an old Scottish definition, which means a person's destiny, which I think is like, it is completely in alignment. And I love that we kind of had that talk about following your heart and following your destiny. And it is truly weird because it takes you into the unknown and it takes you into the sometimes unexplainable spiritual dimension. Which is, by its definition, is entering the mystery. It's going into the wilderness or dropping into the universe. Reiki's definition is universal life force energy. So it's energy that comes from a plane of beyond matter. So in the subatomic realms, for a long time, they thought atoms were the smallest particle that made up matter, and atoms make up molecules, which makes up everything in our world. As they kept on doing these physics explanations, they found out that atoms weren't the smallest thing. They found protons, and neutrons, and electrons. And then as they kept on drilling down into smaller and smaller and smaller particles, they discovered that it's not really stuff anymore. So when you go way deep inside the center of an atom or even the center of an electron. It's more like a wave of possibilities. It's a whole pile of energy that's superimposed upon all other forms of energy, and it's all entangled, and it gets very, very weird down there. And one of my favorite movies is What the Bleep Do You Know? Fantastic. If you haven't seen it, it's very, very much worth a Google and a watch. And one of the quantum physicists in there says that quantum physics isn't just weird, it's weirder than you can think. Like it's hard for us to even grasp, even from a strictly science nature, what matter is, what the stuff that makes up all the stuff, like the tables and the chairs and the notepads and the pens and our bodies and the planets and everything, the sun. The stuff of matter, it's hard for us to understand what is happening there because it's sort of all happening at once and it's not like a solid thing anymore. It gets influenced by our thoughts. And so that's sort of the weird basis for Reiki. Anybody who studies the nature of matter and the universe from any angle, the deeper and deeper you go into it, whether it's from a science point of view or a spiritual point of view, you get to a point where you kind of shrug and go, well, I don't really know what's happening. It's kind of weird, which is sort of the edge of our knowledge, but also maybe the edge of our worldview or the edge of our understanding. And we're dabbling it past to things that seem improbable or implausible. So how is it even possible that in a 5-minute Reiki session, you can release a massive trauma that you've held your whole life and or pain, and it's just gone. You leap from one state to another state. And I've been doing this since 2005, many years. And when I present or participate or experience that big shift occurring for people, I can't explain it either, which is I think what you say of like, this stuff is so weird because it doesn't make sense to our linear, logical, material focused minds. And honestly, there aren't many things that we do where we're directly interacting with the quantum nature of the universe. So the way that Reiki is described is, it's universal life force energy that underlies all matter. And it's like a field of energy that exists everywhere and everything. And as Reiki practitioners, we learn meditation tools to connect to this universal energy, direct it through our body. That energy is called ki. There's the Reiki. So Rei means divinely guided and Ki means energy. And if you've done martial arts, then that will be a familiar word. It's connected to Chi. So it's the energy that's alive within you. It's alive within everything around you. And in martial arts, we use Chi or Ki is the Japanese version to kick and punch. In Reiki, we use Ki to heal. It all gets directed with your intention. So as practitioners, we've learned ways of connecting with this energy, allowing it to flow through us like a wire and directing it to a positive intention. So we chat with the person when they come in, get their intention, and then we have a method because Reiki also describes the method that we use. So there's a series of steps that you get trained to do as a practitioner to bring in this energy and to move it through safely. And then you focus on that positive intention. You see the person in that highest light and basically help harmonize where the person is, where they're vibrating right now, which we can learn to see, feel, and sense with the energy of their intention. So basically matching up or bridging those two frequencies so that the person can feel and experience that connected and whole state. And then we surrender, which is also a big part of Reiki is getting the ego out of the way. The part that doesn't know, isn't capable of understanding. I don't think our ego can understand it because it's so far outside of its experience. So when we set that ego mind aside and just let the energy flow and also get out of the way of the outcome, is like just let the outcome be the outcome. Let the person take that energy wherever they go, because a fundamental tenet of Reiki is that all healing is self-healing. That as practitioners, all we're doing is helping that person connect to the energy that's all around them, because sometimes that's hard to do on your own. It can be very, very hard when you're in a place of suffering to connect to that universal well of goodness. So we're basically just the human in the room, helping the person connect to their own flow. I love it so much, because when are you ever going to be done peering into the mystery of the universe? For me, never. But yeah, how does that sit with you, Angela?
Yes. Yes. It does. It does. But that's totally it. The ego, like again, with me being so practical and things have to make sense, and it doesn't make sense, but it's so transformative. My past trauma definitely has been maybe not healed 100%, but definitely has helped me move through a lot of trauma. Yeah, it's really been life-changing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. And it's such a good complement to other forms of therapy. So it works so great with traditional talk therapy and EMDR and other forms of, cognitive behavioral therapy. It works great with physical therapies and acupuncture and all kinds of things. And Western medicine, a beautiful complement to that, because each thing that you do to support your health and well-being is like a wedge on the wheel. It's a little piece of the pie. And I feel like Reiki really helps with that sort of spiritual and emotional and energetic well-being piece. It's really, really great. And because it's at the center, if it's a wheel and the middle of the wheel is your total perfect well-being, Reiki is amazing, but we still need to drink water. We still need to have good connections with our loved ones. We still need to get outside and enjoy nature. We need all of those pieces of our well-being working together and the whole team working together. And Reiki is so nice because it fits very nicely in there. And I find it's awesome for moving us to the next level. So particularly when you sort of have done a course of treatment, there's been an improvement, but now you're ready for the next bit. It can kind of help you over that threshold into the new phase. So
absolutely. I mean, just the other day when I had a session with you and I was feeling so down and just so crappy for quite a while. And then I had a session and sort of all of that energy was cleared off of me. So that then I was in a space where then, yes, I could take it to the next level and do the other work that I needed to do to feel better. Yeah, it definitely helps along the way. Absolutely. Well, for me in that session, it cleared that black cloud that was around me. When you have that black cloud, you don't want to, or for me anyway, don't want to do anything. I wasn't doing my self-care and my spiritual practice. But once that black cloud, that energy was cleared off of me, then I had the energy to, as I say, do everything else that I need to do to stay in a good headspace, in a good frame of mind, and to feel good and to be happy.
Yeah. Where we are fluctuates from moment to moment, day to day. We're dealing with different things. We're still living in the world. And that's also one of the things that I love about Reiki is that it takes you where you are, respects where you are. It's fundamentally non-judgmental. It's inclusive. It works with every faith background. It works with you and works with your energy. So wherever you are, you're just met with grace and love and unconditional support. And then it just moves you to, often a better feeling space. And that's one of the things that I've really loved about Reiki for me as my self-care practice, my main self-care practice, is that I've become less fearful of my, in quotes, negative emotions or the uncomfortable ones, and have really opened up a more loving, gentle, and unconditional space inside me for all of my feelings. And as soon as I do that, those feelings, they have space to move, and I don't have to be in them as long, but I'm not trying to shoo them away. The other amazing thing with Reiki is that it's actually transformational. So we're not putting like a happy face sticker on it. We're not putting a Band-Aid on top of a gaping wound. It's actually healing from the inside. And that's the thing, is that sometimes there's a lot of feelings in there. And so you get help moving through those deep and sometimes painful feelings, but it's actually like processing them and clearing them out of your system. Whatever doesn't need to be there anymore, whatever energy you've already taken the learning and lessons from, you've already talked it out with your therapist. So now you can come into the Reiki session and you can clear it out of your body. You can clear it out of your energy, body. And it has a way of sort of leapfrogging you from state to state to state. And which makes it seem very weird and remarkable. Like, how is that even a possible thing? But it is. And it's just wild. And I think some of the biggest sessions, I feel like I'm just standing there. I'm just opened up the energy in the space and brought the Reiki energy into the room and created the environment where a person can connect and breathe and get that connection to that universal energy, clear off any of that heavy stuff, let it all go. And that kind of leads me to a question that you get asked a lot.
As practitioners, how do we protect ourselves from taking on that energy, that other person's energy that we're trying to clear?
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of that energy gets displaced, right? Because the negative stuff can't, or I don't like using the word negative, but the uncomfortable stuff, the black cloud, shall we say, can't coexist in the same frequency as the intention of light and feeling good and feeling happy and feeling peaceful, which is usually where most of the intentions are headed. And so as all that nice feeling, comfortable feeling energies are going in, it displaces the opposite. And so when that happens, as practitioners, that's the beauty of the Usui Reiki system. So we're trained in Usui Shiki Ryoho system of natural healing. So that's its full name. There's many, many, many different styles of Reiki. That is our one at Luna Holistic, as we're Usui Reiki practitioners. Master Usui was the founder of Reiki, and we can get into a little bit about Master Usui and his life maybe in future podcasts. But in the system, this Usui Reiki system, we learn a method to basically keep our energy completely separate from the other person's energy. So for me, it feels like standing in a waterfall of light. So it's all around me, it's flowing through me, filling me up, and it's all around my aura, my protective shield or bubble. And because I'm filling up with the flow of light, I get invigorated. I actually feel amazing. I get whatever that positive energy, that intention energy of frequency has been called in, that's all flowing through me. And so I often feel really blessed to be a part of a session. So even the big, heavy stuff, if people are moving through massive trauma, deep grief, just all kinds of things, like whatever horrible thing you can think of, I've probably had a client who has experienced that or a part of it or has witnessed it. And all I can say is in those sessions, it is amazing, because whatever the suffering is, and this is also a big piece of how I stay clear, is the nature of this loving universe that we live in. That's my belief, is that the fabric of the universe is woven with love. And that is what we are connecting with, is that whatever the suffering is, the love is about 1,000,000,000,000 times greater. It's so much bigger than we can even fathom. We can't even understand how much we are held in this unconditional web of love and grace. So when somebody comes in with a huge amount of suffering, I feel the answer to it, which is amazing. It's like having an angel step into, around you, over your body, flow through you, and you're just the person holding the space. And it's wild. It's amazing.
Weird.
It's weird. Thank you. Thank you. My favorite word is weird. How about you? How do you feel when you do Reiki sessions that are big and heavy for people?
When I facilitate a big session for someone, it's sort of, you can't really describe how it feels. Like I'm honored to, I really am honored to do that, even though the person might be in a lot of pain. Like you said, it's dealing with just a lot of hard things and big feelings. And absolutely, I have empathy for them. But then, after the session, for them to say, wow, like I feel better. I physically don't have that pain, and I feel lighter, and I feel relaxed, and that things have shifted and changed. And it really is an honor. I'm so grateful that I do this. And, and I think we've talked about before that being an empath has always been a negative for me. When you have those big feelings and you take on energy, it wasn't fun. But now I am so grateful that I am an empath, because that allows me to feel all of these things and to connect and to be able to do Reiki, I think, better as an empath.
Yeah.
So it's hard to explain how satisfying it is, but it really is very, very satisfying and humbling that you're able to help someone. Like it's actually the best feeling, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's absolutely amazing. And when we step out of the way, it's, I think, the best job, because we get to be a witness to other people's transformation. And that just blows my mind.
I know in my own life how much Reiki has helped and absolutely transformed my life. And when people leave the center and they're happy and they're grateful and they're excited, it makes my heart happy.
Yeah, same. Yeah. It is very, very nice to do this work. And it's amazing. That also is a weird part of it, is that, what other job do you get to go in and help people, and the helping of them makes you feel good, it makes them feel good, and it creates a positive ripple throughout their whole everybody that connects with them. It's a win-win-win-win-win, which the Course of Miracles says that when you're in the presence of everybody winning and everybody improves, there's a net benefit all the way around, that you're in the presence of a miracle. And miracles are weird because we don't understand how they work, but we experience them. Yeah. Amazing. You, dear listener, if you're interested in learning more about Reiki and how it works, we teach this stuff at Luna Holistic. You can check out the website, and you can also look for and put the link in the show notes, an article called Quantum Leaps, How Reiki Works, where I go into a little bit more about how Reiki works, or how I feel it works, and a little bit about distance Reiki and all of that amazing stuff. But thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Angela, for chatting with me today. It's been a delight. As always, my favorite subject. Thank you, Angela, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you for joining us on the Luna Holistic Podcast. We're so grateful that you are here. If you've got a question, we'd love to hear from you. Go to lunaholistic.com/podcast and we'll answer you in an upcoming episode. Be sure to subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And also please rate, because you never know where your little 5 stars will go to shine light into somebody's heart today. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.